Good evening, welcome to the stream. So today we are here with Dake, also known as Dan, which can be confusing. We've just discussed this. And today, so we're on episode 1 of Outsiders. So Chris, do you want to just explain what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So Outsiders is basically a podcast idea that we've been messing around with for a little while, and obviously, there's obviously the big channels which everyone pretty much knows about, but when it comes to the community, like the smaller channels like ourselves, obviously, other channels as well, it's kind of difficult to be able to get yourself started with a game. So I think it's worthwhile actually giving a shout out to obviously some of the smaller channels like ourselves, and just getting their views and their viewpoints on what Outriders currently is, what kind of state it currently is, and just to find out their ideas and obviously go forward. So for episode 1, we're going to bring on Dakes Gaming, which obviously I'll let himself introduce.
Yes, hi. So I'm Dan, aka Dake. I've been playing Outriders since the beta, really. Put about 200 hours into the beta and been part of the community since. When I first started out, I joined a group called Outriders United on Facebook, and from there I was quite active. So they eventually brought me into being a moderator, and now I'm an admin. So we have quite a big part of the community there, about 26,000 members, and it's just really fun interacting with all the community. Everyone's absolutely amazing.
So we are both part of that as well, aren't we, Chris? So it's good to
Yes,
see
we are
people
indeed,
on
yeah.
there. It's quite active. It's unfortunately, I'd say, a little bit toxic at times. But obviously, yourself being moderator and an admin, take care of that as well. So it's not for long.
we get short spells of it sometimes, but we genuinely tend to deal with the way that we remove people that are toxic. So we want it to be a really supportive community. That's kind of the way that I normally operate with everything, to be honest. We just want to support as many people as we can, whether they be a player or a creator. So it's all about working together and obviously working towards a common goal.
Yeah, and are you part of any other communities as well? So, for example, we're both in the Outriders Discord as well.
Yes.
Do you tend to frequent there?
I'm not too active in the Outriders Discord itself, like the official one, but I do immerse myself in other content creators' Discord channels, like yourselves. We've got Divine Gaming, and then we've got like the bigger channels such as like Moxie, and so like all those sort of channels really.
Great. It's a good thing you brought up Divine, because I'm particularly interested in getting Divine on here. I think he's mentioned that he was interested, so hopefully I'll follow up on that with him. But yeah, it's
definitely.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a journey, to be honest with you. But either way, that's the podcast isn't about him. It's about the two of us. So we'll leave him to
leave that for another week.
Yeah, episode 2.
It's it's great, and I think it's. Well, I don't know what I was going to say there, to be honest, but I think Outriders as a community as a whole. I like how you've touched on it with the Facebook group and all that, and the fact that you mentioned toxicity, Dan, because I find that Outriders as a whole doesn't really necessarily have that much when it comes to toxicity. I think it's quite a nice area or a nice game to be able to get in with, in terms of like other people that are like matchmaking, all that kind of thing. It's you don't necessarily get a lot of hate come people's way. It's actually kind of a nice community where people try and help each other out with their builds.
I think it probably helps a lot when you look at a gaming structure. Say, for example, you have Outriders and you have like Destiny, for instance, where Outriders is purely a PvE game. So there's not any of that toxicity from the PvP side. So you tend to get people that are more sort of working towards helping each other and, as I said, just genuinely supporting one another.
It's true. I think the PvP element of it does bring in the toxicity in games. Even something like, I'm going to say, Rocket League. I guess that is technically PvP. It's not in the in the normal sense, but things like that, you do get toxicity in that. Whereas Outriders, like you say, is more of a who can get the best build, the fastest clears of the challenge tiers, etc., etc. So, although that will create competition, it's almost healthy competition and bring the community sort of closer together as well.
Completely agree with you. Yeah.
I think on the back of that, I'd probably say that with the New Horizon update is probably what removed most of the toxicity from my side. I mean, there wasn't much in there in the first place.
You say from your side.
Well, it's in like, well, yeah, from my side, I was just so toxic to everyone that I didn't get. No, but no, I was thinking, well, obviously when it came to the timers and you had to reach a certain standard to obviously get the best rewards, which obviously everyone was after. You know, if someone was rocking a build that you didn't necessarily believe was good enough to be able to, and you thought it was because of their fault, obviously that brings on some kind of form of toxicity, doesn't it? And you start slating someone for their current build. But the removal of the timers and obviously making it so that you pretty much gain the rewards regardless of what time you complete it in, I do think that because it opened up so much build variety, that it actually took away the need for any kind of toxicity whatsoever. So it's probably the best.
We may be experiencing some technical difficulties. So, I assume I'm still here for people. If I am, let me know. Might need to just restart the chat. Yeah, so I'm saying, so yeah, this Discord seems to be having some difficulty. Let's... So yeah, so we're still here. Let's just try and get these boys back in. How do we do this now? Cheers for that, Pixel. Cheers for the 6 months. It's been that long. That is ridiculous. It does not seem to want to work. Let's give a sad face to that. Cheers again, Stay Husk. Again, yeah, 2K, 6 months. It's been a good journey. Can't believe it's actually that long. So I'm gonna quit Discord. We'll try again. Where is Discord? Where's it gone? One has to go. I don't think we need one to go. I think there's plenty of room for multiple pixels.
Watching the sub count.
Here we go. Right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'll be honest. Out of the three of us, I've been the one that's a bit worried about the sub count, watching it go up and down, just going no.
So yeah, this Discord decided to crap itself. Now it's not showing my my bloody webcam.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, these things happen, dude. I mean, I would give you the standard IT approach of have you turned it off and on again, but I just thought I'd tell you that.
So let's turn this on. Let's see if I can. I'm loading in. Let's just leave it as that for now. Actually, no. Let's not have that on. Let's. So we are here. So if you want to have a little chat, we've just got the Outriders New Horizon background on there at the moment because that is something we need to talk about. Plus World Slayer, don't we? But let's just get this working. Voice and video. Let's try that. So I think the problem is that something is trying to use the webcam. It crashed. Discord crashed, and then the webcam's still in use somewhere.
Have you tried disclosing down the webcam, or does unplugging it and plugging it back in again?
That is the next thing on the things to try. If I can try, if I turn that off, does that work?
Can they hear us? Or...
Yeah, they can hear. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, in that case,
In
that case, let's do a verbal. Thank you so much for. Obviously, we've had a few people reach a couple of months with being members with us and Babylonian fans. So thanks to Pixel for obviously being a member for 6 months with Babylon fans. Stay Husk for being a Babylon lover for 6 months as well. That's absolutely huge. And Arconis for being a member for 5 months as well. So thank you all so much. And thank you all so much for tuning in with us. Obviously, we're having a couple of technical difficulties, but that'll teach us for the first time ever doing a podcast and not testing out.
Yeah, these things happen, dude.
Right, yep. I'm going under the desk. Back in a sec. Oh, now I need to remember which one it's plugged into. Oh, bugger. Back in a sec.
Oh Jesus! I'll tell you what. In the meantime, then obviously we'll have to think about Twitch. So obviously you started with a YouTube channel,
Yeah,
and obviously you did pretty decently and all that kind of thing. Obviously you're still doing YouTube, which is great to see. And obviously we got a few pointers from yourself, which was massive thank you for all those that you pretty much helped us out with on that one.
Of course, anytime. Glad I could help.
But you've recently made a little bit of a move for when you're live streaming in terms of like carries and all that. You made it over to Twitch. I'm just wondering what have you noticed in terms of like the change? How's that pretty much going right now? Is it more or less successful? Is it? Just give us an idea.
Okay, well that's a two-part answer really. So firstly, yeah, still do a lot of content on YouTube. I try to use YouTube primarily for doing build videos, information videos, literally anything that needs to be up there for a certain period of time that people can then refer to if they need to. Obviously with Twitch, their model is a slightly different way, where their videos only last for like 60 days if you're a Prime subscriber. So it's not the best for content creation, but for live streaming, Twitch is amazing. So really, it comes down to my hardware at the end of the day at the moment.
Right.
I will be upgrading soon. But basically, I work on a Mac, so I find it difficult to run programs like OBS and Streamlabs. So I haven't really been able to kind of do YouTube properly on that side of things for live streaming because it simply doesn't work. Whereas with Twitch, they have a Twitch Studio app, and it allows me to do everything that I need to do seamlessly. So, and also the quality of the streams there was a bit better as well. Okay. Whereas I had a bit of a gripe with YouTube where it downgrades people's quality when they're watching it. Right. And when I was looking at my own stream, because I do that, I could see that the quality wasn't great. So I went into the settings and then looked at the quality. I was like, why am I at this lowest possible resolution? And it looked horrible. So all in all, Twitch is far better for live streaming than than YouTube currently. I think YouTube has a lot of development areas to go through, and they will make those areas complete at one stage or another. But for now, I don't think they're the best choice.
So when you say obviously you did a little bit of streaming over on YouTube, and then obviously made your way over to Twitch, which I think you've also done the same with I Am Legend, if I remember right, as well.
Yeah, I might have dragged him over there.
Obviously, as soon as you've seen both sides of the coin there, would you say there's more of a viewership over on Twitch in terms of Outriders? Would you say that more people are looking to be able to take part in like carry streams and all that kind of thing over on Twitch?
Absolutely. Average throughout the day, I'd say it's probably up to about 200 people. And to be honest, let's be perfectly honest here. Outriders currently, the viewership is quite low in comparison to what it was a little while back. So even now, a lot of people always go towards Twitch if they're looking for live stream. If you compare the two, Legend was getting an average of about maybe 14, 16 people when he was on YouTube. And on Twitch, he's constantly hitting over 30 to 40 people a stream.
Wow. Fair play. Okay,
so the statistics say it all.
Fair enough then. Well, I suppose that kind of leads us on to some of our questions then, because obviously we did prepare a few things just to be able to obviously talk about like Outriders, what it used to be, how it currently is, and obviously the future and all that kind of thing. So, so obviously after the launch of the game about 10 months ago, obviously we saw the highs and lows of the Outriders launch. Do you think it'll ever go back to the same way again, as in like obviously how well it actually did or how well it performed when it obviously first dropped that first week or so? Obviously take away the bugs and all that kind of thing, but just purely like the player base and all that. Or do you think it's too late for the masses to pretty much go out, like make their way back to this game?
I definitely do not think it's too late for the masses to come back to this game. While there has been a lot of negativity around the game because of the bugs and issues that have taken place, and understandably so, people were upset about the fact that they lost items or they lost progression or weren't able to do certain things, lag, etc. But I think that PCF and Square Enix have been really good about their communication style. They've been transparent about things, they've put the work in, and I think now that they've kind of learned from their mistakes of launching a game like how it was, obviously full of bugs and issues, I don't think they're going to make that mistake again, to be honest. They're going to be a bit more thorough with their work, make sure that people test their game, I hope, properly, and identify any problems that could arise before actually launching it. So even though we're looking at a game which is going to launch quite soon, hopefully in the next couple months or so, is my guess personally, I think it's going to be a much better experience the second time around.
Definitely. Yeah, I think I'd like to see the DLC is going to be hopefully like its rebirth almost. It sounds like they're working quite hard and they're bringing out a lot of content, whole new story with it. You've got to assume, and this will probably lead into the next question, you've got to assume new end game content as well. Probably new items, new character. From what we've discussed in a Q&A with the devs, I think new characters on the cards, but probably not for now. But yes, I think there's going to be lots of new stuff. So I'd say probably the next question, how do you think the end game will actually change with World Slayer? And what would you actually be interested in seeing coming in with that?
Well, I think if we really diagnose everything properly here, the end game currently, it just feels like it's lacking a bit. So for me personally, if I'm to touch this properly, I come from a Destiny background and I played that game for a really long time. I transitioned over to Outriders when it came out. At the moment, expeditions effectively feel like Destiny 2 strikes. There's not too much replayability and everything kind of like happens the same way every single time. They can also be very repetitive if you're content creators, obviously, like myself. We do streaming and do carries every single day, and we're doing like, I don't know, between 60 and 70 carries a day. That's a lot of expeditions, isn't it?
Just a few.
Yeah, exactly. But with New Horizon, I feel like they've made some positive steps. Obviously, bringing the no timers, I think it's a great step forward for diversity and for build creation and also playstyles, because you might find some people who like to sit back on the map and they just want to do some sniper builds or whatever. But I'd like to really see some new end game come in that really is a bit more challenging. Perhaps they could bring in more people into it, maybe bring like a 6-player activity. That would be really cool. Or Horde mode, which it's just been talked about so much.
I wouldn't say talked about, so I'd say shouted about.
Yeah, shouted about. Literally, people are just yelling at the top of their voices now.
I think they are aware of a Horde mode, I'm sure. I'm sure they've mentioned that somewhere again in a Q&A that I've been in, or in,
I'm pretty sure we had that. Yeah,
or even in the ambassador side of things. I'm sure they mentioned it before that they are aware of that.
Also,
So I think that's the most likely outcome.
yeah, absolutely. Also, I think that I'm looking at the bigger picture here. Like we can look at Endgame, and it can be interesting for a certain period of time,
Mhm.
but what you need is Endgame that remains prime for a really long time until they're
Yeah.
kind of like ready to start rolling out new content. So, what I would like to see would be an expedition or an activity that gives you a ultra rare loot where you have a certain amount of times to try and get that loot each week, and then basically once you've had those times you can still help other people, but it kind of means that you don't get the ability to kind of get it for yourself, and you can obviously then sort of, it gives you content, it gives people things to work towards, and it gives people a reason to come back each week.
I can see what you mean, but that's kind of like more like Destiny kind of. Is it the strikes? Is it the
Yeah.
raids that give you the chance to be able to get those certain like legendary items? Is it that kind of like dynamic that you're talking about, or
Just something that would give people a reason to keep playing every
Yeah.
single week, like that's what people need.
Yeah, I think some kind of like rotation would probably keep it fresh. Obviously, we've got the
Yeah.
rotation of the expeditions at the drop pod marker table, and while some people aren't necessarily quite happy with the fact that it does have that rotation, it is kind of there for a reason, obviously, to be able to make you play some different maps and obviously keep it a little bit randomized and all that kind of thing. But I like the idea of. I think personally, I'd like to see some kind of like resource separate to like drop pods, something that's that allows you to be able to craft to something better or something bigger, for example.
Ooh.
I think that would be to be able to something that literally lasts a week, and it's a specific expedition. Or I'm not obviously this is just spitballing. I'm not saying that obviously, but I've ironed out all the details or anything like that. But if they, let's say for example, Boomtown, once a day for the whole week, you get, if you complete it, you get one resource, whatever you want to call it. And then obviously with those resources, you could either make something that's better than a legendary weapon, so you could bring in a brand new type of weapon class or armor class, or it's something that would allow you to be able to free up the second mod slot on your armor pieces or your weapon. So because there's a lot of people that say that they want to be able to change both mods when it comes to a gun, and obviously understandably you can't do that, but this would actually give people a reason. If they wanted to do that, they'd have to go out and try and get this resource.
Specific expeditions and multiple times per week. That's the thing to.
Yeah, but only the once though, because obviously if it was like, oh well, you're free to do this for as long as you want during that week, I don't think that would necessarily be a good idea, because obviously that pigeonholes you into just that expedition. But if it was just one expedition a day that you're told, I think you need to go do this one to be able to get a certain resource if you want it. Yeah, that would I think that would kind of work. I mean, like I said, I haven't figured out all the details about it. I mean, it's not my position to do so, but I think that would be a nice incentive to be able to get people. And but does that then kind of get it to be more of like a live service game?
There's almost pushing it to the live service sort of side of things there, which they don't want to do. As much as people say that it is a live service, at the end of the day, it isn't.
Yeah.
They've done updates to the game, yes, but I mean, you look at Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's not a live service, but it's had updates regularly, isn't it? So that's what you got to try and see, that you define. You got to see where the line is between live service and just getting updates, and I think that they want to cross over into that area with this game. Anyway, future games maybe.
I think there's one more thing I'd like to bring to the table as well.
Go for it.
I think that one thing I'd really like to see and I'd really get excited about would be random rolls and legendaries, attributes, mods.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah,
that'd also be awful. But
it would be awful, but it also would be good as well.
Would be both.
Obviously, the changes to Tiago actually make it a little bit better to actually farm those legendaries. So obviously, but maybe they could just change that random legendary to be the only one that actually comes with random rolls, for example. It gives you a reason to be able to choose that rather than just re-roll the whole inventory.
There's also that other point that you bring up there about sort of like being able to collect resources from specific expeditions or just expeditions in general. If you were able to sort of like get an example of a legendary and it's randomly rolled, but you don't get one that you want, then you can obviously change out the second mod slot. There's so much you can do, or you can just re-roll it. That would be even easier.
Yeah.
So the ability to re-roll items would be incredible. It'd give people a lot more reason to play.
I think my main wish in this game right now is to, instead of having a legendary shop, I actually just want an epic shop, just so I can try and get to that a really high level, high rolled burst AR, because I'm still struggling with the one that's just over 80k, and I just cannot get anything over 90k to save my life. So
or just like a really good green shop as well,
yeah, or something like that would be great. I'll just expand the shops in general then, because there's only like 15 items or something like that. It'd be nice to. There's still plenty of space on that page. All they have to do is just expand that, really. But
yeah. It feels a bit strange that they only give you like 3 locations where you can actually buy like places. So you got you got Rift Town, you got Trench Town, and you got the Forest Enclave, along with obviously the camp. But those are the only places you can buy stuff. What about the other places?
This is shop travels with you, I guess.
True.
That'd
be nice.
Shall we have a look at some of the questions? Oh, sorry,
I was just about to say
some of the questions that we've got in the chat. DJ, I'm going to leave yours for a bit because I want to potentially cover something like that nearer the end. So Suspicious Pixel asks, do you think Outriders will really make a comeback with World Slayer when it has P2P problems or peer-to-peer problems? I cannot play with my friends from Canada and Far East Asia because of Red Bar connection. Personally, I would say that is actually down to your connections between the two. Whilst I agree, peer-to-peer probably isn't the best option for what you're trying to do, I don't think there's going to be a workaround that. I don't think they're going to bring in dedicated servers for it, just because of the costs involved with that, unfortunately. Whether they could do any coding in the background to try and sort that, I can't say no to that. I can't say there won't be. There probably are things that can improve. Whether they will, I think at the moment they believe their game is in the best place it's been since launch, really. But there's always room for improvements, and they probably are still going to continue to work on it. So I'm not going to say never say never. But I don't think that's going to be a main focus for them, because I think at the end of the day, it is in a position where it is pretty much as good as it's going to be.
Well, here's a take for you. Like I said, this is just pure speculation on my part. But we saw the numbers that obviously launched when Outriders first came out, right?
100K
over 100k. I think it was like 120, if I remember right. 120k people all playing on the exact day of launch.
Yeah.
And obviously, peer-to-peer was definitely going to have its hand in that being an issue, obviously, with the connection issues and all that kind of thing. What if World Slayer actually does reach back? Because obviously people have been hearing the news that Outriders has actually been getting better and better as time's gone on. What if World Slayer actually does bring back, let's say theoretically, top of my head, 75-80% of that player base back, just purely from PC side of things? Would that not encourage PCF, Square Enix to actually go, do you know what, maybe it's worth swapping over to dedicated servers?
I don't know if it would be as simple as that, or if it would be something quite big on the back end. The way that it's obviously programmed to use peer-to-peer is probably going to be in a certain way, and it probably would take quite a lot of coding change to do that. I believe, anyway. Not being from a coding background, but more thinking about the infrastructure side of things. I don't think it would be as simple as, let's switch. But never say never.
Yeah,
Go on.
Yeah, I don't come from an IT background either, but I think that having dedicated servers would be a massive step forwards. But at the time, I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. As much as I would like to see that, because I play with people from all around the world, and I want to see people having fun and be able to enjoy themselves and play the game properly without obviously having lag. It ruins their experience a bit. So, even though it's just about acceptable, well, to a certain point it's not, but it'd be nice to kind of see that improved in the future.
Yeah, I think that potentially could fall in line with a comment I did see earlier on in the chat, which was, hold on, where is it? with Roman, which obviously I know is a joke, but I'm very excited for the sequel, which is called Riders. Now, obviously, with if theoretically, if they just go World Slayer is the only DLC that's going to be coming out for Outriders, and they start work on Outriders 2.
I mean, that was a future question as well. Yeah.
I've probably completely missed that. I'm just going off script now. Screw it. So let's say theoretically, one DLC done, and they've learned that the desire there is there for Outriders to actually continue. They've learned that people will buy this game. They're interested in that kind of genre, and obviously they make Outriders 2. Is it viable? Is it a good idea for them to actually start considering? Yeah, we should probably make this live service, and we should have to dedicate service.
I would say 100%. The future Outriders, I think, should be live service.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it would be that icing on the cake of Outriders. I would say is a brilliant game right now. That live service, if they can do it right, have weekly events, have seasonal events and things like that. 100% right way to go for me anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's clearly a market here for it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be asking for it to be live service. So it's not like we're asking just to be awkward or anything like that. We clearly want Outriders to actually be the title that we want to be able to be played go forward. I mean, currently the only ones that really, match my kind of like RPG looter shooter kind of need are Borderlands and Division. I mean, I understand there's obviously Destiny as well, but it's a bit more specific when it comes to that. I'm not necessarily a Destiny fan. I know there's a massive fan base for it, obviously, like Dake.
To tell you the truth, I don't play that much anymore.
Oh, no.
So we've played it. So we have played it, but we found problems with it in terms of there's that one mission, wasn't there, that you had to go through, and we found it next to impossible to do as a 2-man.
Yeah.
And you read online and everyone says it has to be done as a 3-man. You're, well, we don't have any other friends.
I'm trying to remember what that mission was, but that was a good one. It was a good mission. It really was a good mission, but it was just the end was just you had to wipe all the enemies.
It was wasn't like 4 tanks and a boss and
yes. But it was good fun leading up to it. But that's Destiny. So yeah, I do think that Outriders can thrive. Obviously, they just need to be able to learn from the mistakes and obviously get it right for the next time round. But I guess we'll see how many people come back for World Slayer. I mean, New Horizon did actually get quite a nice uplift. I think it was like 10 times the player base just from releasing that. Yeah. But will they all come back for World Slayer? Potentially. I mean, it's probably a bit too early to tell.
I think the work is a lot bigger than New Horizon. I can't remember the actual timescale that they're working on New Horizon, but it was more. There's more focus on fixing the game than content, whereas this time around, it is more content than it is fixing the game.
Yeah.
So leading on to that question, from that question, so would you prefer to see, let's say, World Slayer successful? Would you prefer to see more DLC on top of that, or would you be happy to That's me. That's my thirst quenched for Outriders. Let's see Outriders 2.
For me personally, I use Destiny as an example for most things because you've got Destiny and then they created Destiny 2. But I did some research on this and there wasn't really that much that really changed from Destiny to Destiny 2. They kept a lot of the stuff, but the only thing that really improved was things like the storytelling, a few other things, and it wasn't really that impactful.
No more Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, that was a shame. I miss him. But I just don't think it's necessary to go and move from Outriders to Outriders 2. They just need to build on the core game and just keep it going. And I think that they'll have a lot of success. I mean, look at New Horizon. It's brilliant. I love it. I think I can speak for, well, I hope I can speak for most of the audience when I think it's a really enjoyable game. As you said, they really focused more around fixing issues in the game, bugs, than focusing on content. Now, I didn't know that, but if that's the case of them just saying thank you for staying around, and fixing up everything else, then I think that's a really good effort on their part.
Yeah, so the content was almost an afterthought, not necessarily an afterthought, but like they wanted to focus on getting the game fixed and working in a position where people play it without complaining. And then obviously the 4 new expeditions were almost a little teaser to get people back in. It's something new for them to do, and to show that they are here to develop for the game.
And they are some great expeditions. All props to them. They are such good maps. I mean, they added verticality for Molten Depths. The Spider Boss making its return. I mean, Marshall's Complex is, full of enemies. It's you got the Wellspring, which obviously brings back the Shaman, which obviously is a nasty boss. Well, it isn't even a boss in itself to be able to deal with. It's probably the hardest thing out of all the expeditions. And then you've got Harbinger Hammer, Handler of Heads.
Yeah.
for City Nomads, which is such a good Easter egg to be able to try and fight your way to be able to get to that last fight. And
I just want to say that finding him as the very first,
I wasn't even going to mention that. I was just purely just going to go for the fact
when we fought him in the play test, and the guy was like, "You're running out of time. We're shutting you off now." I was like, "No, no!" So exciting to see that.
I think all the Easter eggs that they brought in, like literally the expeditions, I think they just took a chance on it and thought, you know what, let's be creative. Put something in there people won't expect, or give people something to search for while they're playing the game. And I think it's paid off really, because even though they're a lot more fun to play, they're a lot bigger maps, and there's obviously a lot more enemies, they're more challenging for sure. I just think that what they've done is really amazing work, and especially if that wasn't their main intention to begin with, then I mean that's even more impressive, because this was a back four as opposed to a forward four.
Yeah, I think what they did as well, I think they took inspiration from past sorry, that's my iPad going off. From past expeditions, and tried to incorporate it. So, for example, what's it called now? Frontline. Speaking to one of the devs about this, and Frontline's one of his most favourite expeditions that he's made or worked on, due to the verticality of it. And he feels that with that, having to fight your way up the hill, this is a bit of a spoiler into a future video actually, fighting your way up the hill creates like adrenaline trying to get up there, and then when you get there you feel on top of the world. So I think they took that with like I completely forgot the name, Molten Depths, with that, trying to work on that, adding little bits of that into it and whatnot. As with all the other expeditions, they've taken bits from previous ones that they've realised were the better parts of them, and reused them again, but made them better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, can I just point out? It's only just occurred to me, literally just occurred to me that, and it should have happened before now, since New Horizons dropped. But remember, all the time before New Horizon obviously got dropped and it got leaked and all that kind of thing, and now the whole community was pretty much going, "Oh well, we haven't heard anything. We haven't got any kind of communication from PCF. What's going on? Oh, this game's not going to get anything. Oh, dead game and all that kind of thing." New Horizon drops. I haven't once heard a single comment from anyone.
No dead game, is there? Yeah.
To say either. I mean, I've seen a couple in the official Outriders, but I don't know if they're just purely trolls and they've just dropped in just to be able to say that. But but like, no one's gone, "Oh well, I haven't heard anything from PCF. Oh, there's no patch notes. There's no nothing." Everyone's just understood that there's nothing that needs to be changed right now, and everyone just seems content. And it's a nice feeling. It's quite nice not to hear those kind of complaints out in the community anymore. Maybe I'm just missing it over on Twitter.
No, you are right. I've not seen that. I usually check the comments as well on the Twitter. I used to do it for a bit of a laugh. I made a video on it as well, because let's be honest, there was some gold in some of them comments. But yeah, you are right. There's not much in terms of dead game. Where's the content? Where's this? Where's that? So yeah, just gonna say, welcome to Full Measure as well. He's joined in. How's it going, Mr. Measure? Should we go through another question as well?
Yeah, go for it.
So, skipping DJs for now, still, sorry. So I want to go through that in a bit. So yeah, Tempest says he finds it interesting that there's an entire game there that people only seem to use to create a new character. Like from now, is there no interest in playing through the game with a fully leveled up character? So I assume it means sort of almost restarting the game, but using fully leveled characters, I assume. Personally, I don't know if that would be too easy, even on World Tier 15 with a CT 15 leveled up character.
Probably because you have leveled up to level 50 at that point, haven't you?
Yeah,
Really?
but I think I do quite enjoy. So I have started again. I haven't played it for a couple of weeks actually on this character. But we did start again. It's me and Kaliko actually, or Creed, whatever name she goes by. Start again to try and go through and get some of the what's it called, the transmogs, and really enjoyed it playing it from the start again, just with an empty character, no loot shared at all, just starting afresh. It was actually really really fun and refreshing to play that again. So I don't know if you two feel the same.
You go first.
Well, personally, from a player perspective, a lot of people just want to rush through the story. Once you play it once, you kind of play it like the whole time. So some people just don't have the patience to kind of go through that all over again, and just kind of want to skip straight to the end game and start making builds. And that's typically what I tend to find from the people that I interact with. But another idea which I would be interested to see perhaps would be their sort of take on perhaps introducing a level system. So, for instance, obviously you got your 0 to 15 world tier, 1 to 15 CT tier. But what could they do about improving the quality of the story mode? Like maybe take something from the Diablo sort of perspective, where you've got easy mode, normal mode, hard mode, extreme mode, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a hardcore mode where you could potentially, if you die, you could lose all of your stuff.
Ooh.
But it would be a lot more challenging.
Last time I tried doing one of those was Medal of Honor Warfighter, and
didn't you get the last enemy or something and get killed?
Yeah, so I obviously this isn't Outriders related, but I remember getting all the way through, and basically a Warfighter had these door breaches, so you kick open the door, it blasts open, all that kind of thing, and it goes into slow-mo, and there'll be so many enemies inside the room, and you had to pop the heads of every single one. Because this is tier 1 difficulty, it means that it's on the hardest difficulty, a couple of bullets and you're dead. And on top of that, if you ever die at any point during the story, it deletes your save file, and it takes you all the way back to the start. And I managed to get through one run. This was the first time trying it. I managed to get all the way through to the last door, which is literally just before the end cutscene. And there was one person hiding in the darkest corner of the room, and he blasted my head, and I couldn't understand. And I was so upset. I really was upset. But then I found out that there's a workaround, which means that you can put like a USB drive into your PS4, and you transfer the save file over to your USB, so you have a copy ready just to be able to upload it back to your PlayStation, just to get around it. It still took me about 3 or 4 tries, to, obviously, even though I knew where he was. But that's not the point. But that would be. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Yeah, I'd love to know do something like that. I mean, going back to Dan's point as well. I mean, I recently I've been trying to word a video for this, to be honest with you. But I started a new character, a new trickster, because I've never got a trickster to level 50. It's the only one that's pretty much outstanding, and I wanted to be able to just get all the transmogs. Basically, I wanted to get as many as I could because I was trying to do this Fashion Riders thing and. Similar to like Full Measure has been doing, and obviously there's a channel over in the official Outriders Discord where people are talking about like what their favorite outfits are and all that kind of thing. And I really wanted to get some really nice stuff. I also wanted to get Moon Metal. I wanted to complete my collection of that, which I now have, which is great. And but while I was going through it, just literally as soon as you skip that that story, and obviously you select your class and you fight your way through that like battlefield wasteland kind of area. The love for the game just instantly came rushing back to me. It was the fact that you could see the damage numbers at being like 7 damage.
And 4, like, I think I remember being at 4.
Oh wow, 7 damage. And if you were on a CT 15, you would be laughing your way for the fact that you've just done 7 damage to like 100,000 health enemy or something like that. But the fact that you can just watch the health bar go down with 7 damage, and you're just like, this is so satisfying. And you don't have to worry about builds at the time. You just purely pick up whatever is the best piece, the top level gear, and you just play it as if it's a normal RPG. I do think that the reason why people do story skips now is the fact that obviously they've got into it, they've done one character, they've got it to level 50, they've gone through the story, and they've gone, I don't want to play through it again.
They're just try something different, don't they? So,
yeah, I've already experienced it. I don't need to do it. But as soon as you've given so much time and you've let it pass, and you've kind of not necessarily forgotten what the story is about, but you've just forgotten what it feels like to go back to that start. I think that's when you kind of appreciate the story once again, and that's what happened with me. I mean, I can't necessarily speak for both of you, but yeah, that's for me.
A good question
My
here.
opinion.
Oh, sorry, go.
One opinion is with the story. Like obviously you've got these different classes. You've got Pyro, you've got Techno, you've got Trickster, you've got Devastator. Now, obviously, if you have one character, you go through the story, and then you have all the rest of your characters skipped up to a certain level. Where does your skill level get to? Because if you played through the entire story, you play like 4 to 8 hours worth of story mode. That gives you a chance to get familiar with the skills, how to play the character, and it gives you a bit more knowledge on what you're doing.
It's true. I think you can also maybe learn that if you then start off at CT1. I think you rather than being boosted straight up to level 50, if you get to the end game and then play the end game yourself, I think you almost get that experience through that still. But yeah, definitely if you get skipped through to 50, if you get carried all the way through to get all your gear, it will take a long time for you to learn the best way to use that character, really, I think, effectively anyway.
That's my opinion too, to be honest.
See, there's certain games where the story is like kind of on the long side, like for example Borderlands. Like I absolutely love Borderlands, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it, but the story on it, to be able to go through with a brand new character, I can't be bothered with that. Just level me up. I don't want to. I'm pretty sure I've only done like 1 or 2 classes in Borderlands 3, and then just went, do you know what? That's my character's done. I'm not even going to bother with the other ones, and I've just left them there just to. No, not even try and attempt a Mara or anything like that. I've just gone, you know, I'm happy with my Moes, I'm happy with my Zane, and that's all I'm touching. And it's because of how long the story is. But if there wasn't enough story, then people would complain about it in the first place. So there's no real nice middle ground. I think we're going to complain either way when it comes to that sort of things.
Yeah.
Question from the Full Measure, one that we can probably answer quite quickly.
Yeah.
What happens to all of us if this DLC only pops in Q3/Q4? So by all of us, I'm not sure if he means content creators or all of us, he means all of us. But to answer this quickly, so I've been chatting, not for a while now, but I've chatted with Toby or the Arkan in December. He mentioned to me that actually he's put it on Reddit as well, I believe, that he has finished all the scripting for World Slayer in terms of the advertising side of it, and during January, Square Enix Robbie was going to be sort of filming or capturing the required content for like the trailers and whatnot. So to me, that would say if you've done all of that, the game's got to be in somewhat of a place where it's nearly ready to be released. So I don't think we're going to have to wait until the 3rd or 4th quarter of the year, really. I think it is coming very soon. So I don't think you have to. I can't say for certain, but I don't think you will have to worry about that.
I genuinely feel like April is a brilliant month for it to come out. I don't know if you guys
it'd be too long if they waited long on that as well, wouldn't it? So
yeah, because I don't know, it just feels like they're hinting at it, sort of. Because obviously, you know, it was released in April. The game came out April 1st, ironically. Bit of a joke. But, you know, April is a good month. It falls into the right category of games because April doesn't have a lot of games coming out. In May, you've got Forspoken. So April would be a great time for it to come out.
Yeah, I agree. So I think any longer than April, I think you'd be shooting yourself in the foot there. Maybe
yeah.
Give an extra month, I suppose, but any longer than that would be too long.
Any later than sort of like mid-May, it's not going to be good for them. But at the same time, I would actively encourage them to make sure that they are 100% thorough and make sure there are no bugs.
Definitely. I mean, if this is to potentially be the resurgence, let's say theoretically, then yeah, if all those players come back, can we just go back into the exact same point that we were 12 months ago? Yeah, it's not going to be a pretty sight whatsoever.
Quite like Roman's take on it as well. So when it does come, he believes they need to nerf all builds into the ground, do a restart, like a new Destiny season. If you come to the new DLC with how broken top tier people are, it's a day's worth of content, which I agree with that. In a way, I think maybe the way around it would be that what's our max level now? 50, isn't it? New max level 100. So you've got room to improve. So although you've got a top tier character now, all the enemies are going to be twice as hard, twice as much health. They're going to hit twice as hard, etc., etc. So you've got to then build your way back up to a new top tier. So whether that's 60, 70, 80, whatever, or even like say up to 100, I think that's possibly the way to go. So although you could probably do CT15s with these builds that you got now, let's say CT30 would be impossible. That's my sort of view on it, trying to get around that.
Yeah, got the equipment leveling mechanic though, don't they? Really. So I mean, with enough drop pods and enough platinum, you're able to make your way up to that with your current build, I suppose. I don't necessarily think nerfing is the right way to be able to go about it. I do think purely buffing is. I mean, there's so many things that actually do need buffing in this game. I mean, we've got. Even though I'm memeing with it, and there is a video that's going to be coming out this week, Reflect Bullets is purely there just to be able to activate the Paladin node for a Devastator, and it's that it doesn't do anything else, and it should be able to do more damage than what it currently does. Personally, I feel like it should anyway. I feel like that's like the main thing that's really struggles with a Devastator anyway. That's the way it's just purely there just to be able to give yourself a 45% anomaly boost. It might as well have just been that. What's the point in having the animation? Might as well just stab yourself in the neck with a syringe or something like that. But yeah, so you got things like that. You've got I'm trying to think of like a techno. I mean, Scrapnel is not necessarily that effective. I think Minigun needs like a damage or a movement buff. There's so many things that they could go about doing. I don't necessarily think that nerfing would be the best way to be able to go about it, really.
I agree with you. I think that if they bring in more sort of like content, for instance, where you have different weapons, different armors, and they try to sort of promote newer weapons and armors opposed to sort of like, the stuff we have now, then it'll give us a lot more viability to make builds and stuff, and keep content fresh, and it'll be good for everyone really, because you get to try new stuff out. Maybe bring out different weapon types. You never know.
Definitely. I mean, as another idea, because I did see that there was a spreadsheet. I don't know if this was purely from the beta before the demo even launched or anything like that, but there was so much legendary armor pieces that were around in the game before, and it looks like they got taken out. I think it might have been they were just a bit too confusing or something like that, or maybe something along those lines. But it got me thinking that why don't we have like a legendary set that's purely designed for one specific skill? So you could have. So you don't need to add in new characters. You don't need to add in new skills or anything like that. But so let's say there's instead of you've got all the legendary armor pieces that you do now, but what if you had a specific legendary set that's geared when it has like a legendary set bonus, it gives your Impale, for example, like a cooldown reduction, and it gives you an extra damage buff. You've got an Earthquake set that gives you an extra damage, and it allows you to use it another 2 times or something like that before cooldown, something like that. So it's simple things that just need implementing. You don't even necessarily need to include it any more tier 3 mods either. You could just purely go with what's currently on them and just have them randomized. But the set bonus opens up so much possibility, I think, in that kind of sense.
Something else I'd be really excited to see as well. But I've mentioned this to them previously. Nothing happened though. But basically, at the moment, you've got legendary sets, and to proc that bonus, you need to have 3 pieces. Yeah. Now, why don't we have like a full set bonus? What happened to that?
Like a division?
That would be nice.
I do quite like the division style where 1 piece gives you this, 2 piece gives you this, and 3 piece, you get this. So I think that would be nice to see. Also, I quite like Full Measure's idea here as well. So skills that are not quite as good at the moment. So an example is given is Eruption. Maybe that needs to be looked at for World Slayer and improved upon. Something I think like Reflect Bullets as well isn't that great. So that could be looked at to have some sort of improvement done to it. And then DJ did mention, I think it was DJ, yeah. Ash Blast and Overheat is 2 OP in terms of AoE, so whether things like that do need to get looked at and it's almost going to be a kind of full look at the skills and what they can do, what they're currently used for. Maybe I think people will be unhappy with it, but maybe there are some nerfs needed, and some buffs for others. So definitely, I agree. Actually, with eruption, isn't it like a 4-day cooldown or something? If you use it once,
Didn't it get a bit of a buff recently? Well, I say recently in like New Horizon. I think it got like a slight cooldown reduction on the legendary set bonus, but even then, it's still not. I don't think it's enough. Kind of like Impale. I don't think it's anywhere near enough to be able to
100%.
get anywhere where you need it to be. But who knows? Maybe they've got something in the works. Maybe we're just speculating and they've already got it in hand. Who knows? Maybe. But
I think they've done a good job with New Horizon. So
definitely.
Yeah, you gotta have faith in them, haven't you? Really.
Definitely, and I think they've earned that after that update. So, but I guess we're only a few months away from that, really. Fingers crossed. Anyway.
So I think we're sort of coming to the end of this now, really, aren't we? So I think we can have a look at DJ's question, which will also lead into another question for you, Dake.
Cool.
So for a bit off topic, would be fun if any one of you have a carry stream for Remnant from the Ashes. So me and someone else can join. So I actually quite enjoyed Remnant. I think we were playing it with Ben. I feel like Ben wasn't quite as much into it as I was. I'm not sure about you, Chris, how into it you were, to be honest. But
enjoy it, but I'm not a massive fan of like Souls type games.
It was very much like a Dark Souls kind of game. You die, you get stressed, you hate your life, you want to jump out the window, and I quite enjoy that feeling, really, wanting to jump out the window. So I really enjoyed playing that game. It sort of spurs me on to play it more. So that is definitely something I'd be happily playing again in the future. Maybe on streams, maybe bring people in to play it with us. So the question to you, really, Dake, is what are you planning for the future?
Okay, so I've obviously spoken about this particular game quite a few times. Loyal to it, sort of. But yeah, I'll be playing Destiny from the next 3 weeks from now. I'm not going to abandon Outriders by any chance, but it's going to be sort of splitting my attention a little bit. That's going to lead me up until Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be jumping on that as well.
Yeah, it looks like such a fantastic game, a lot of diversity, very similar to Outriders as well as far as like play styles. So it's going to be a very, very exciting game to play. And then back to Outriders again when new content comes out, really.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we've got very similar sort of ideas. I mean, we're playing a lot of Hunt Showdown at the minute. That's what our streams seem to be at the minute, just because me personally anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think we're looking to do Tiny Tina as well when that comes out. I think I'll definitely be buying Dying Light 2 when it comes out. Whether we'll do anything with that, we're not too sure. Whether we'll play that together on streams, potentially. We'll see. Yeah, definitely. And then jumping back into a lot of Outriders once World Slayer does drop, or once any news of it drops as well, I'll be covering that as well.
That's the thing. We're currently in a bit of a... I don't want to say it's a gaming lull, but it kind of almost feels that way. As in, like, there's some big releases that are coming out at the start of this year, but they're kind of few and far between, which is really kind of a strange place for it to kind of be. I mean, Battlefield was supposed to be touted to be like a great game, and obviously that's flopped. You've got Call of Duty Vanguard, which is supposed to be a great game, that's flopped. So the two main juggernauts have kind of failed us. So how are we supposed to expect anything good coming out of it in the near future? So you do have to worry about what's actually going to be good going forward in terms of like game wise. But I mean, I trust Gearbox with Tiny Tina's. I imagine that's going to be a good game. Elden Ring looks kind of interesting, but I mean that's supposed to be more Souls-like. I think it's supposed to be easier than a Souls-like game, from what I understand. But we'll see how that will come. So we might pick that up if it's if the price is right for that one. But yeah, I think World Slayer is, as soon as that gets announced, as soon as anything comes out of that, yeah, instantly jump straight back on. And
definitely,
I'll be happy with anything just to bring my love back for Outriders, just to be able to make more content for it, because it's been so much fun.
We are keeping an eye on our emails, hoping for another playtest, but whether there will be one, we don't know. But fingers crossed, we get that email soon.
I would love to get on that myself, to be honest.
Well, you're definitely making waves, aren't you? So
Hope so. Also, another game which I'm looking forward to, which actually is so little information about at the moment, but if anyone here wants to see a really cool game that's very similar to Outriders, there's one called Project Magnum, and that
You
one
mentioned
is
that, didn't you, Chris? Yeah.
very cool.
It does look good. Have they even announced any kind of like data or anything like that for that to come out? Or?
I keep looking and I keep failing.
Well, one last game for you to look out for as well, which unfortunately we can't talk about, but it's Synced Off Planet.
Yes,
that's all we can say.
That's pretty much anything that's pretty much public. But if you like Outriders, you like the type of combat that is, and you are looking for some kind of like PvP style, I highly recommend that you check out the trailers that they've dropped already. But Synced Off Planet could be. I mean, it's got the makings of it to be able to be a really good game. So, and I think they're going to be bringing that to consoles. I think I heard something along those lines, but there's no confirmation just yet. So, but we'll see.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, I imagine this isn't really going to touch too deep on your obviously your NDAs or whatever you're using, but do you think it'll be crossplay?
Synced Off Planet.
Yes.
No idea.
I can't see why it wouldn't
I literally
be.
have no idea.
Outriders can do it. Why can't they? So yeah, I can't see why it couldn't be.
It's the future of gaming, isn't it? Really. I mean, I even had a type up yesterday just to go. Well, Outriders is a crossplay game, and the reason why we've got as many like views and subs as we did is probably because we've tapped into the crossplay market, and we've got console players and we've got PC players and all that kind of thing, all feeding into one. So what other games can we look at that's crossplay? And I looked at it and I went, Fortnite, no. Dauntless, no. I was just there going, looking at the list, going, oh, jeez. Oh, well,
no,
we're not off to a good start.
There's no reason why games can't be these days. I mean, you look at, I'm going to say, biggest example of a game that isn't, and why isn't it? FIFA. What is FIFA? It's you've got 11 men running around the pitch, and there's nothing that I can see there that could not be done crossplay with PlayStation, PC, Xbox. You've got Warzone. I mean, Warzone is definitely a lot more taxing than FIFA. You're gonna have different like. Well, I was like different like settings, different textures. So let's say, for example, Xbox is on high textures, PlayStation's on medium, and yet it still works together, playing together. You've got Xbox One, you got Xbox Series X, can play together on it, and that's going to be a massive difference in like graphics, frames, and whatnot. So if that can do that as a competitive game, then why can't something like Synced Off Planet, Outriders, etc. And how's it going? We've got eTechnics here, also known as Andy. So
that's big channels turning up.
So yeah, I have a follow of eTechnics. He does a lot of I say he, they, them. Do a lot of a lot of tech stuff. So definitely check them out if you're looking for a new PC or advice on a new PC, should I say.
I think one of the things I want to say is like if we compare this to a very recent example of a game, I think like New World didn't. It was just PC, but it kind of flops a bit.
It did a bit, to be fair.
Was it crossplay? Like obviously there wasn't any other platform for it, so it's like I think that nowadays the future of gaming has to be crossplay. People have to get their head around that. Because playing with other people, connecting with others and being able to play with those people is the soul of gaming, in my opinion.
I do remember a time where it was like PC and Xbox, yeah, we'll happily do crossplay. And then Xbox said, we'll happily do it with PlayStation as well. But then PlayStation was sort of like, nah, we don't want to do it.
No, we don't want you.
Yeah, so, well, like you say, it is the future, or it is not even the future, really. It's the now of gaming, isn't it? If you're not crossplay, you're missing out. I've just literally seen someone start playing F1 2021 on his Xbox, just literally going from my Discord. I would love to play with him on that, but they haven't, to my knowledge anyway, I don't think you can play. They haven't put anything in place to do that. So even on games that are on Xbox and PC, you can't cross-platform on that, when really I think you should be able to these days. There's not much difference between a PlayStation 5 and my PC. Let's be honest. They're both designed to play games. They're both similar ballpark in terms of power. You can PlayStation does like fancy little tricks to get there, doesn't it? But it can definitely be done. It's just almost laziness now to not have that in there.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things I would also like to acknowledge is DJ's comment about New World's combat. I mean, I haven't played the game obviously because I don't own a PC currently, but I don't know. I don't know if their combat system and how sort of like how they dealt with the game, with like traveling systems, all that sort of stuff, was the main impact of its downfall, or was it the effect that they couldn't actually play with people from different platforms if it was released on different consoles?
I would even say different servers as well. So you had the problem at the start that I think me and Ben joined a server. We managed to get on day one, played it for a bit, and then day two I went to play it, and I was like 8,000th in the queue. I said, okay.
Screw that.
I'm not waiting there.
4 days later, oh good, I can play it again now. But no, me and Chris then started on a different server because we were just thinking, wow, this one's low population. Jump in it, have some fun, do whatever when we get there.
Ben just stayed on the original server. Ben set a macro so he couldn't move. So he carried on moving while he was working. It's great.
Yeah, but then
so good.
I think with that kind of killed the game as well because so many people couldn't play with their friends, and then so many people would then shift different servers, making server populations even lower. And that would have been fixed had it been released on consoles and cross-platform. I think it would have been a lot better. But I do agree as well. The walking simulator 2021 side of things wasn't great for it.
I do want to say though that I've just had a quick check of Steam charts, and we're talking about it as if it is a flop. Granted, it did have an all-time peak of 913,000 people, but it does have 7 minutes ago 78,655 people still playing, and it's actually recently seen a peak of 117,000. So we're talking about it flopping, but it's actually still doing fairly decently.
100%. It's not a dead game, so it's not a dead game. It's definitely still going, but it's not.
I mean, it's lost 90% of its player base, granted, but it's still going strong. So,
Chris, what I'd like you to do right now is go onto New World's Twitter page and see if there's a lot of dead game comments.
Sure, yeah, give me a sec. Hold on.
Tempest asks, are they playing on it or are they in the queue?
If not, I'm going to go drop a comment. 1 second.
You could very simply say like a meme, right? New World's literally 4 days getting into the server, or Outriders Eruption.
Yeah, which comes first?
I will say that no.
The answer is the full measure.
From what I can see, there are no dead game comments, so I think it's safe.
It's safe. To be fair, they are getting constant update. I mean, they had a new. I haven't played it actually, but they've got a new gauntlet or something. The Void Gauntlet. New weapon. Yeah. The Void Gauntlet. So they have got new weapons in there. So yeah, definitely, it's still going strong. Really, we joke about it, like I say, being a dead game, but
yes, we do. Yeah.
Or a flop, but it's still going strong. Just it hasn't. I don't think it's reached the heights or kept at the heights that it could have done. And DJ's uninstalled it like a week ago. I looked at it, to be fair, yesterday. I was going through some games and installing them. And I did look at it and think I've not played this in a while.
I did think that as well, to be fair. Maybe we should get back into it. No, I'm alright, thanks. I mean, you keep asking me to play Hunt Showdown. I don't think I've got enough time.
We'll get the Hunt Showdown eventually. That's good fun. But no, is there anything else on your agenda there, Chris?
I think that pretty much wraps up everything we were planning to talk about. So at least that's everything that I sent over to Dake in the first place. But I guess that just leaves us to wrap up. So Dake, where can people actually go to find you? What socials, everything? Where's the best place they can see more of you if they're interested?
So basically, I do content creation on YouTube. So I'm sure you have some sort of description in the description. Also Twitch as well, so it's the same as my YouTube, Dakes Gaming.
Do you want to pop your Twitch in the chat? I don't think it will block you.
I'll try. Give me a sec. Twitch.tv Dakes. So basically, on my streams, we do carries, mess around, do builds and challenges, and just have a good time, really, guys. Recently we introduced something called a cat cam, which basically is my girlfriend's cat, which seems to steal the limelight of the show. Let's see if that works. That's me on Twitch.
It's not come through for me, so I don't think it has. Tell you what, drop it into the chat to one of us. We'll copy it and pop that in.
Oh God. That's a good question. I'm not quite sure how to get out of it now. I'll just Facebook you it.
Maybe I'll be able to find it.
That's fine, yeah, just do that. No, yeah, so if you want to head over to Dakes,
I got it.
Twitch, head over to his YouTube. Do you have Twitter
There you
as
go.
well? So do you have a Twitter as well, sorry?
I don't really use Twitter, to be honest.
Don't use it, no?
Just heavily invest in the platforms which I do use, YouTube,
Yeah.
Twitch, everything else I'm not that active on, apart from Discord.
So head over to Outriders United as well for if you want to chat about Outriders in general. Like I said, 26,000 at the minute, you said, wasn't it, earlier? People there, you're there as well. So yeah, that's one of the places to go.
It's a good community to be in, to be honest. Yeah. And if anyone's toxic, then just let us know.
I got a question for the chat as well. We have some ideas on who's next. But who would you like to see in the hot seat next?
Yes, drop you some questions. I mean, well, I've got a few ideas. I mean, well, I'm thinking of trying to reach out to NYL Casual Gaming, thinking of reaching out to Divine again. There's a few others, obviously, I'm pottering around with. But,
there's one person that we haven't mentioned to each other just yet that I've just thought about.
Oh.
I'm going to get his name wrong, so I'm going to quickly not Google. I'm going to check my DMs. I'm pretty sure it's Chaos Primes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's check that I've got that right, because otherwise I'll sound...
I'm pretty sure you've got that right.
Yeah, it is Chaos Primes. So yeah, I'd like to possibly get him on. He seems like a sound dude.
Okay.
So
yeah, sure. I mean, more than merrier. I mean, happy to reach out. They may say no, but at least we can offer it out and reach out to these people. But I mean, Dake, is there anyone that you would recommend that we try as well, or have we pretty much covered it?
I mean, I think that Divine's a great person to bring onto the show. I know you guys are already aware of that. Some other people that are sort of like big as well. They might not be that well known on the YouTube side of things, but someone called Play-Doh Bear.
He sounds like a brilliant guy.
He's a very entertaining guy. His
very technical.
Packed. DJ Divine Games is who we're talking about, so we'd look to get him involved. And there's many sort of like the people that do streaming mainly. So if you sort of reach out to those people on Twitch, then that'd be really positive.
I mean, if you're open to the idea, I mean, feel free to say no to this. But since we're not on the Twitch side of things, if you actually know of a few names, feel free to drop me a list of those, and yeah, I'll quite happily give those a go. As long as you're happy to do that.
Have you been passed a cup of hot chocolate?
I'm not going to pass that up. Stream or not, I'm just like that. Hot chocolate all day long. And it's got marshmallows.
I did see the marshmallows floating on top there in your Cadbury's cream egg cup.
Yeah, but if you're happy with that, if you since we don't know the Twitch side, if you're able to drop me a list of names that you think would be worthwhile or would be something we could look into, then
I talked to all these people, so no probs, easy.
Good times. In that case, great. In that case, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and obviously coming on to here, and obviously we'll get the chat to say thank you as well. But it's been
great to have you on here. It's been a quick hour, really, or hour and 17. It's gone quite quickly, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, I always love talking about stuff Outriders related. And, collaborating with content creators is what I want to do. It's how I've been since the start. So it's always great to work with you guys, and if we can do more together in the future, then happy days.
100%. So we've got future games coming out that we could possibly jump in together with as well. Tiny Tina's a 4-player, 3-player. For example, I can't remember.
Borderlands is normally 4-player, isn't it? So
that's one we could possibly jump into at some point. Again, we'll probably do carries or not necessarily carries, but community streams with that as well. So definitely something to look forward to.
Absolutely, I look forward to it.
Yeah,
I guess that's
end the stream then, shall we? So, any last words, Chris?
I guess that pretty much wraps up the first episode of Outsiders. So, thank you all so much.
And thank you everyone for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys.